Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Sir Alex Ferguson Challenge with West Ham. So the final episode of the season, we have of course got the FA Cup final against Liverpool, and we'll have a look, see how the Premier League table finished up. So in terms of the final few games of the season for us, we ended up going away to Burnley and winning 1-0. Fabio Silva getting a goal in the 64th minute. It kept our title hopes alive just a little bit. And then Chelsea crushed them. We ended up drawing 1-1 away from home against them. Lucas Paqueta giving them the lead in the 8th minute. Fabio Silva equalised for us in injury time of the first half, but Brent Beckier got himself sent off in the 81st minute, and despite our dominance, we couldn't get the second goal, so this meant that the Premier League title hopes were officially done. And even if they weren't, we ended up in the final game of the Premier League season, going away to Spurs, and Harry Kane getting the only goal of the game, making us getting our 8th defeat of the Premier League season. And this is how the table finished up. We ended up finishing on 84 points. It's probably our highest points finish since we started managing West Ham. In fact, we'll just take a quick look at that. So last season, we only ended up on 71 points. We finished on 85 points the season before that. So actually, we have finished on more points than that 2 seasons back. Great progress, lads. But yeah, Liverpool did end up winning the Premier League title, 3 points clear of Man City. Man City actually got beat on the final day of the season. They were level on points going into the final game, but Huddersfield actually ended up beating Man City to inflict their 3rd defeat of the season. So Man City will be absolutely gutted to have not won the title this season. But it's Liverpool's again. I believe they won it last year. No, they didn't. It was actually Man United and Man City the year before that. So you never know. Maybe next year might be ours. And as I said, we do have Liverpool in the FA Cup final, and Liverpool are in the Champions League final. And guess who they're playing? They're playing Monaco, who beat us, so it should be us. Now, before we talk about the squad and how things have went, what signings have performed well, what signings haven't, we'll play the FA Cup final and we'll see how we get on. Domestic trophies are always important in a Sir Alex Ferguson challenge. Every trophy is important, unlike me normal saves where I couldn't give a monkeys about domestic competitions. So the first 11 looking pretty much identical to how you will have seen it prior. Reece Oxford is in centre-back over Jonathan Panzo. Jaramillo is starting up front with Alexander Isak as Fabio Silva has picked up an injury. But other than that, it's pretty much a similar team as you've come to expect from us. We have quite a settled first 11 once everyone's fit and ready. Having a look at the Liverpool team. They're not playing that 18-year-old wonder kid up front. Roberto Firmino is going to start. Asensio is going to come in for them as well, who wasn't playing in the last game. He's played a lot of games for them actually and done quite well from central midfield. Rafael Varane has come in as well, as long as Virgil van Dijk. They must have been playing a weekend side against us in the league last time, unless it was just injuries or whatever. So, they have won the Premier League. They are in the Champions League final. I want the FA Cup. I do not want them getting a potential treble. So we'll kick off. First off, we're shooting from right to left against Liverpool. Let's hope we can win, please. Highlight already, Mohamed Salah with the corner in. Flick on from Firmino, I'm assuming. It's gone down as a Salah assist, so maybe it was a defender who ended up nodding it on at the near post. We'll check it out in 3D here. No, Firmino looks like he won that header. And Virgil van Dijk gets the final knock on to put Liverpool 1-0 up very early on. Not the ideal start at all. Highlight now, Virgil van Dijk in the box again. Another set-piece goal conceded. Champion. Asensio with a free kick this time and heads off one of our players and incredibly fortunately falls to Van Dijk, who takes the first time volley. We're 2-0 down. 20 minutes in. There's a highlight straight after the goal, so if we get a goal here, you never know. We might get back into it. There it is. Wagnerman with a cross. Jaramillo with a goal. Oh, I'm so deflated already. Danny Olmo does well to come forward from the kickoff. Wagnerman down the right hand side, decent ball in. Jaramillo on one of his first few games back gets himself a goal to get back into the goal scoring way of things. Oh, hopefully we'll get back into it now. And the first half ticks away with nothing much happening since our goal. We still find ourselves 2-1 down going into half time of the FA Cup final. It is a match we're dominating, but dominating matches means absolutely nothing when the goal scoring line is like it is. We'll kick off the second half, shooting left to right this time. 57 minutes in and we have a free kick. Beckier plays it in, and what has happened? It won't count. Oh, it's typical. Offside. 70 minutes in now, we'll make some changes. We'll get Sandro Tonali off for Ronaldo Vieira. We'll get Wagnerman off for Emerson, and we'll save our final sub. Just in case, you never know. Another highlight, and it's going Liverpool's way this time. Dembele into the box for Firmino. Very fortunate not to go 3-1 down there. Davies holds onto the ball after it comes off the bar. Another corner, another goal, another set-piece goal conceded. You can see maybe a bit of a pattern here. Maybe start thinking about set-pieces. Yeah. Salah with the corner. Trent Alexander-Arnold with the ball this time. Craig Davies. God, I don't know. I just don't know. Final change will get Aaron Martin off for Tony Lato. And it looks like the season's going to end in another disappointing way, as it has the past couple of seasons. We are qualified for the Champions League, but we've missed out on domestic club, European competition, disappointing defeat after disappointing defeat. A lot of thinking to do. So there's the confirmation. Liverpool win the FA Cup 3-1. They are obviously won the Premier League as well, so they've done the domestic double. Congrats to them. But we'll have a little bit of a chat about our squad and what I see going forward now. When I created this tactic, I did intend on playing 3 at the back, but with Lucas Toussaint in the side and him being such a good player, I didn't want to not start him. That's why he spent a lot of time in the defensive midfield position playing the half-back role, which is essentially an aggressive centre-back, to be honest with you. But going into next season, there's been too many games. If we look actually at some of our Premier League defeats, what we've been defeated 8 times this season. Let's have a look at the defeats. So first one against Liverpool away from home. This might not be the best example, but you know, it was a close game. 2 quick goals from them. That's not the kind of game I am talking about. I'm talking about the games where we absolutely dominate and then get absolutely smashed. Man United, look at this. Look at the stats on this. We absolutely dominate the game. They don't create that many chances whatsoever. Yet they somehow managed to find a 1-0 win against us. Arsenal away from home 2-0. Arguably, probably favourably for a draw. I would say we're still dominated by the stats. Chances created, we did create more than them as well. Key passes, all that sort of stuff, we still did well. We're still not putting the ball in the back of the net. Getting beat off Spurs at home 3-2. They actually done the double over us this season, which is a bit devastating. But as you can see, stats-wise, we definitely didn't deserve to get beat. Yet we do. And that seems to be the common theme. We play dominantly in our games, but we don't put our chances away when they come our way. We'll check the West Ham Monaco game. And as you can see here, there's no way in hell should we be conceding 3 goals in a game with the stats like this. And if we didn't, and if we were more defensively solid, we would have been through. We would have been in the semi-finals. And as we say, Monaco's made it all the way to the final as well. There's no reason to have believed we wouldn't have done that should we have got past Monaco. So I think moving the defensive midfielder back to centre-half will make us more defensively solid, while still retaining the attacking capabilities of the wing-backs, which is the next thing I want to talk about. In terms of assists this season, Aaron Martin with 24. He has been an absolutely fantastic signing. I cannot underestimate him enough. 21 assists in 35 games in the Premier League. Playing as a left wing-back is nothing to be sneezed at. And Wagnerman to a lesser extent, but the same on the other side. 13 assists in 48 games. He's got 7 goals and 7 assists in the Premier League this season, playing the right wing-back role. Aaron Martin is a better player than him, so you do expect a bit of a better output from him. So maybe getting a really world-class right wing-back might be something I'll look at, but to be honest with you, I don't think there's any in the game apart from the likes of Trent Alexander-Arnold and stuff like that. But yeah, playing the attacking wing-backs, I think, is worth it. I think they give enough to justify not playing wingers whatsoever. So I would like to move the defensive midfielder position back. Another area where it's kind of under threat is the attacking midfielder position. So Dani Olmo has played there for most of the season. He's got 14 goals and 7 assists in 30 Premier League games. Is that enough? Is it enough to justify playing an attack? It probably is enough, to be honest with you. He's an absolutely fantastic player. He's came in, it's his first season at the club. We signed him for a big fee, and he's done good enough. I'm not going to change that. So this is what I'm aiming for in terms of the system for next season. I will look to change some of the team instructions and player instructions to make us a bit tighter defensively. In terms of strikers and stuff, I'm relatively happy with their output. I'm playing them as false nines, so you're not expecting them to be like leading the line, getting all of the goals. They are very much involved in the build-up play along with Dani Olmo and the wing-backs. So Fabio Silva with 25 goals this season, played incredibly well for us. He's just a fantastic player, 4-star current, 5-star potential, really well-rounded. He will continue to improve coming in the next season. Brent Beckiard, actually our second top goal scorer. He was our set piece specialist, so it's sort of understandable. Scored a lot of penalties. He scored 6 penalties in the Premier League this season, 11 goals in general. He's been quite good as well, and he's developing quite nicely. A £20 million signing about a year and a half ago. He's doing okay. Danny Olmo with 16 goals. Harry Miller got 15 goals in 28 games. I would have imagined that would have increased a lot if it wasn't for the injuries. He is actually on top of the average. It's an average rating stat for the team, apart from Aaron Creswell, who only played a couple of games. Alexander Isak played more than I expected him to play. Didn't actually have that good of a return in terms of the false nine role. 35 games, 11 off the bench, and only 13 goals. It's not a fantastic. Moise Keane nearly matched him. So maybe I need to take note of that and play Moise Keane a little bit more next season if he's still here. But one of the key areas where I want to improve, as it was last season, is centre backs. I hope that the Football Manager world has let some regens develop and become some superb centre backs that are available to me. It's been a really dry area for us. We've still got Reece Oxford, Jonathan Panzo, Rob Holden still playing as our main centre backs, and they're not good enough. They're not good enough to win titles and stuff like that, for me anyway, in terms of raw stats. As you can see, Jonathan Panzo, physically, excellent. Mentally, not good enough. Technically, not good enough. Rob Holden, probably the better of the two. He's much more well-rounded without their enhanced physical stats. Reece Oxford hasn't developed as well as I would have hoped, but even he looks a little bit better than Jonathan Panzo. Luis Felipe obviously came in the summer, and I think he's done well enough. £29 million. Nearly a 7 average rating. That's okay for me. Obviously, with the amount of goals we're conceding, you expect your defenders not to be as highly average rated. So hopefully once we go to 3 at the back, we'll see that go up. In terms of goals conceded, it's not even that bad. I mean, 39 goals in a 38 game season isn't the worst thing in the world. 5th best in the league. Obviously tells us what we need to know. We finished 3rd. We scored the 2nd amount of highest goals, but we've conceded the 5th lowest amount of goals. So that's definitely the area for improvement. But in terms of next season, Craig Davies has got another season of senior football under his belt, and he is improving every single week. He will be a better keeper next season. I expect him to make less mistakes. I expect him to concede less. So the more we progress in this year, the more we're giving our youngsters the chance to improve, the more we're giving the potential the chance to come to fruition and get the sort of players that will get us into the latter stages of the Champions League. We've been knocked out in the quarterfinals for the past 3 seasons, I think, on the bounce. Just not good enough. And obviously the Premier League, we need to lose less, basically. We lost 8 games, highest out of the top 4 by a margin. Obviously Liverpool lost 6 and won the league, but we weren't drawing that many. We drew against Chelsea, Man City, and Watford is obviously the odd one out there, but a draw against Chelsea and Man City is nothing to sneeze at. But some of the games were lost. Spurs twice, Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, Man United, and then Southampton. Ignore the Southampton one, that was sort of just a blip, I would imagine. But we're losing against the big teams away from home. Ugh. What do we do about that? So obviously the next episode will be the summer transfer window. I am considering the next season to be our final season of this save. Let me know down in the comments below what you think about that. Is that something do you want to see me continue on beyond this season? I don't want to say, oh, I'm going to wait till I get to the Champions League final and then that will be the end, because that might be the next 5 seasons or so if we keep underestimating our opponents and not getting past the opposition in the quarterfinals. So next season, it could definitely be our last season in charge of West Ham, unless you guys want more. If you have enjoyed today's video, please consider leaving a like, and if you're enjoying my content, get yourself subscribed. But until next time, take it easy.